Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain. Tonight we gonna let it rain. Tonight we gonna let it rain. Just like the sunrise, we gonna let it rain. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain. Tonight we gonna let it rain. Tonight we gonna let it rain. Just like the sunrise, we gonna let it rain.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome or welcome back. If you were here for our earlier live, welcome back. Welcome in if you're here for this live and this live only. But welcome in, everybody. My name is Tanya or TitaniumBuilt. It's good to see everyone. We're going to be going over Idaho 4 in this live. But before we get into the content, we'll see who's in the chat and we'll let some people kind of come in and have a seat, take a seat, have a seat, take a seat, whichever they want to do. But it's good to see everybody again. If you were over in the other live, we were doing a live over Rachel Morin. Her case has gone to trial. So it went on trial last Friday, and the person that is accused is on trial. So that's what we were going over. If you guys missed that, you might want to check it out. It was a really good live. Hey, Ladybug. She's like, no one's beating me over here. Hey, Mary Beth. Hey, Dawn. Good to see you again. Hey, Phantom. Hey, Tony. How you doing? I just saw you over in Dutchess. Hey, Willows. I was going to write that little boy's name. I don't know if you were in there when she was going over the little boy that was missing and they found him. Earl. Was his name Earl? Yeah, I was about to put his name down. His eyes were speaking to me. His eyes look so sad. She was going over missing persons flyer, but they found him. And I guess he's a runner, so. Hey, Willows. How you doing? And hopefully you're feeling better, Mary Beth. Hey, Crafty One. Hopefully everybody's feeling pretty good. Hey, Mandy. Hey, Jenny. It's good to see you guys. Try not to miss anybody. Sometimes I do, though. What's a pic? Like a PI? I don't know what a PICC is, but I know like a picture. Hey, Brian. Oh, I gotcha. Willow's nose. Hey, Lisa. Yeah, maybe that would help. Oh, I couldn't imagine. Hey, Lenora, welcome in. So we were going to, I switched up the live kind of a little bit. I wanted to go over, like in the beginning, I was going to go over we watched on our last live, the Fox Nation specials that they had, like the 2 half-hour specials they had. Well, we have like 3 more to go through, but since there's a newer video that's out and we're getting ready to go towards another hearing, I figured we'd watch the newer of the stuff. So we'll watch what just came out tonight over the it's the podcast verb, like, but I don't know why they say podcast because it's a video, but it's on Fox Seattle. We've been watching them on the channel, and so they put out a new one, and it's like 30 minutes long. So I figured we'd watch that and we'd get caught up with like the updates to get us towards our next hearing, because Bryan Kohberger will be in court on April the 9th for his next motions hearing. So they are going to the defense wants to come out and try to get them from not describing Bryan as having like bushy eyebrows. They want the make and model of the suspect's vehicles and expert testimony over the type of DNA found at the crime scene. They want all of that to be like brought up. So it's all going to be brought up and it's all going to be addressed in their next court proceedings. So we'll be there for it. Hey, tickety lock, tickety tick lock. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I bet you I'm not. Tickety K lock. I don't know. I was trying there. Hey, Triple L. So if you guys didn't see us on our last live, this kind of will go over some of the, like one of the updates that we went over. They do have a couple new people that are going to the prosecution, and they've just gotten somebody new for the defense. So this guy here on the right is going to be their newest attorney general that's going to come in, or attorney that's going to come in. But he's a former U.S. attorney for Idaho, has joined the team prosecuting Idaho college student homicide defendant Bryan Kohberger. So we went over this the other night, but Josh Hewitt, 44, it says chosen by former President Joe Biden for his prior role, left the appointed position in February in the transition to President Donald Trump. Now Hewitt will assist in the state's case against the lone suspect in the high-profile capital murder trial, according to court filing that disclosed his addition. And I wanted to see, I'm going to check after this, make sure there's no documents. There was just 2 and they were sealing something. So I wanted to make sure there's no other ones. Hewitt declined to comment on his new duties in the Kohberger case when reached out by the Idaho Statesman on Thursday. While still U.S. attorney, he worked closely with the FBI and previously declined to comment on the quadruple murder case or homicide case. The FBI helped Moscow police and Idaho State Police with arriving at Kohberger as the suspect. Led by Latah County prosecutor Bill Thompson, the state intends to seek the death penalty for Kohberger if a jury finds him guilty of the 4 murder charges he faces at trial scheduled for the summer in Boise. Hewitt also previously declined to comment on Idaho's new law that will make a firing squad the state's lead execution method starting next year. That's scary as hell. I am unable to engage on that case or that issue. So it says Hewitt said in a text message last month after he departed the U.S. Attorney's Office. Kohberger, 30, is charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and a count of felony burglary. At the time of the November 2022 quadruple homicide, he was a graduate student at Washington State University in Pullman, Washington, just over the Idaho state line and 9 miles from Moscow. The 4 University of Idaho student victims were Madison Mogan, 21, of Coeur d'Alene, Kaylee Gonzalez, 21, of Rathdrum, Xander Kernodle, 20, of Post Falls, and Ethan Chapin, 20, of Mount Vernon, Washington. The 3 women lived in an off-campus Moscow home with 2 other young women who went physically unharmed, while Chapin and Kernodle's boyfriend Chapin was Kernodle's boyfriend and stayed over for the night. Hewitt, a Harvard Law School graduate, brings additional cachet to the team prosecuting Kohberger after his 2+ years as the lead federal attorney in Idaho. Harvard Law. Got to be smart to go there. So probably a pretty smart guy. Former Idaho U.S. Attorney Bart Davis, during President Donald Trump's first term, had Hewitt on his staff at the time. In a phone interview, Davis told the Statesman that he remained confident in Hewitt's abilities, describing him as very bright and very diligent in his attention to details. Well, we need that. We certainly had him helping on very complex litigation, and I was very proud to have him in our office and proud to be associated with his efforts, Davis said. I personally found him to be impactful in any matter we asked him to be involved. Do you ever notice how they'll be like, we can't talk, we have a gag order. There's always somebody that worked with them or something that will come out and talk, it seems like. Worked with them, knew them, brothers, cousins, sisters, twice removed, things like that. But we haven't heard from Kohberger's family. Only the one time when they went to court, they put out that press release or whatever it was, that they're thinking of the victims' families and that's as horrific what happened to those kids. And they were praying for them, but they were going to be on Bryan's side, of innocence and all of that. So that's the only thing that I've seen. So the Kohberger prosecution's other attorneys include Deputy Attorney General Jeff Nye, as well as Ashley Jennings, Thompson's senior deputy prosecuting attorney in Latah County. Last week, a different court filing showed the addition of Idaho Deputy Attorney General Madison Allen, 31, and I showed you a picture of her too. She's going to the prosecution team for the jury selection process. So I think she's only going to be there for just the jury selection process only, and that's set to start July 30th. The trial is scheduled to begin August 11th. Allen joined the Attorney General's office in September 2023. According to her LinkedIn profile, her supervisor in the office was former Idaho Deputy Attorney General Ingrid Beatty, who worked as a special prosecutor appointed to the Kohberger case until she left to join the Cannon County prosecutor's office in January. Beatty told the Statesman by email. I was wondering why she was leaving or why she left. Wonder if it's just a better job. Closer, maybe. I don't know. Maybe she wanted to live there. But it says Beatty declined to comment further, citing the active gag order in the case. Kohberger is next due in court on April 9th for a hearing on motions to limit a variety of evidence and 2 additional attempts by the defense to drop the death penalty as sentencing options if he is convicted at trial. I don't think they're going to win that one. The family members are not going to be like, okay, yeah, we changed our mind. We take the death penalty off the table. The family members are going to have a lot to say about that. I don't think they're going to take that off the table. Anne's just going to have to try to figure out how to get him off of this. I don't know. She's going to have to think of something. But it says here that prosecutors in the case against Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger have sought to restrict his ability to present an alibi defense, evidence of mental health conditions, and the possibility of other suspects in the quadruple homicide. So, Kohberger sticking with driving late at night. That's his new habit. Hey, Chantel. Hey, Ashley again. I couldn't imagine being one of BK's family members. His mom, his dad, I couldn't imagine being them. Couldn't imagine being his sisters. None of them. They're all being followed, They're all, even when I showed pictures the other night, they were like, look at his sister being discreet while grocery shopping. I'm like, she's not being discreet. She didn't have a hat or glasses on or anything. It wasn't like she was hiding. I'm like, which she shouldn't have to at all. But I'm just saying, people are going to take pictures of them. I'm surprised there hasn't been way more out there. They must have really been recluse the last few years. Mr. Rosebud. Oh, I don't know. Does she have new hairstyles? Oh gosh, Phantom, I haven't watched her. She could be a scary lady. That Jennifer Coughlin Daffer. Every time I think of her, I just think of her sneaking up to that house on Fairview Avenue now and getting caught. It says no trespassing, and she's clearly trespassing. It makes me giggle. It just does. But this is the video that I wanted to show you guys. So we'll listen to this, and I'm going to pause it, for commentary here and there. If you guys have any questions, throw them in the chat. I'll be in the chat with you. If you guys don't mind, hit the like button if you guys appreciate the content, and we will start this video. And thanks for being here.
How does one actually become an expert in firing squads?
It's serendipity. I got hooked into coming into a case. It's kind of like that vaudeville thing where the long cane comes up, grabs you around the neck, pulls you off the stage. It's almost like that. I've been involved in law enforcement training for a number of decades, and my expertise is in use of deadly force, ballistics, terminal effects, and basically what gunshot wounds do to people. Because of my background in trauma medicine, I've been practicing emergency medicine now for almost 35 years. Expertise in trauma. That plus my police involvement and my training company, which again, it deals with the use of deadly force, primarily firearms and ballistics gunshot wounding. So that kind of put me in the situation to be asked. Initially, there was a case in Georgia where an inmate in the Georgia system wanted to be executed by firing squad and was suing the state to have that option made available to him rather than lethal injection. So I came on as an expert witness on his behalf, and it just kind of picked up from there. There doesn't seem to be too much in the way of other people who can do this provide this kind of expert testimony.
Yeah, I mean, it seems really niche, and then here you are with this huge case. Now I think people are wanting to hear, especially from you. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, this is my 13th or 14th case now that I've been involved in.
This guy's familiar.
There's been a number of them all over the United States.
And I think what's interesting is your doctor who
He's like, this ain't my first rodeo, honey. She looks like she looks so young to me. Does she look really young to you guys?
is it fair to say, specializes in talking about death? Like, talk to us about that relationship too.
Well, as I said, I'm an emergency physician. I'm a trauma specialist. So, I mean, any doctor who works in the emergency room, level 3 or higher emergency department, deals with a tremendous amount of trauma. So we see a lot of people with traumatic injuries, violent injuries, gunshot wounds just being part of it. So my interest is in general emergency medicine, and trauma is just kind of it's the juiciest part of it for many of us. We enjoy it. We enjoy the excitement, if you will, the stimulation of having to figure out why somebody is injured, how they're injured, how to stabilize them, how to keep them alive. So as a consequence, like any emergency physician with this much experience, I've seen enough trauma and dealt with enough of it that it's very familiar to me. As a specialty, we're kind of unique. We see people at their most vulnerable when they're least prepared, and as a consequence, we're on the pointy end of the spear of medicine, so to speak.
I know this.
Sorry, making notes as we go through. Okay.
That's fine. That's fine.
And so let's talk.
Let me know if you guys know this guy from somewhere. I know this guy from somewhere.
About this. I mean, you've been advocating for this method of execution for how long? Tell me about that and why you've been advocating for it.
Well, it started in 2016. As I said, I was invited to participate as an expert witness in the Ledford case in the state of Georgia in 2016. My interest, I wouldn't say that I'm an advocate for firing squad execution. I'm probably the person, one of the few people who can explain it from a medical and ballistics perspective in such a manner that it's understandable to laymen and particularly to judges and lawyers, because those are the people who I'm trying to convince that this is a legitimate way to go. So I got drawn in on that case, and because we had gained some traction with that case, I've been invited by other advocates in the death penalty arena to participate in other cases. I participate at the request of inmates who are scheduled for execution. I don't.
Okay, so basically, This guy is an expert witness, and well, he's like a trauma doctor. Level 3, he said, which is weird to me because I had to go to a level 5. I have no gunshot wound or not. I don't know what the hell was going on with me to have to go to a level 5. But he's a trauma doctor. He's an expert in the firing squad. I was getting somewhere with that point. Let me see what he's saying. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I had a point with that.
Testify on behalf of the state. I'm not particular.
Oh, okay. So he goes to these these prisoners reach out to him. I'm taking it. Word on the street, they must know his name or his address or something. And they reach out to him somehow and they're like, hey man, I need you to testify for me, or I guess it's the defense does. And they say, or whoever his lawyer is, and they say he wants to be executed by firing squad. Can you write up a thesis for that? Well, I mean, can you come and testify to that? Like, that to me is, I don't know, that's kind of mind blowing. I never would have thought that there was a guy out there that is like, yeah, I'm an expert in helping this guy get the firing squad instead of the needle. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
Clearly a fan of the death.
You pick your way you want to go. I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, I don't know if I could say I want the firing squad if I was on death row.
Penalty. I'm not an abolitionist, but I certainly don't think it's our best option most of the time. But if we're going to execute people, if the state is going to execute people, that means we, the citizens, are executing people. Then we have an obligation as citizens to make sure it's done in the most appropriate manner possible. Now, unfortunately, most of the methods of execution that have been available to us in the last 10 to 15 years have been substandard. So I believe this is something that gives an option to departments of correction and to the men and women who are condemned to die at the hands of the state to die in a manner that is appropriate, efficient, and as painless as possible.
I just have a lot to say. I don't know if I agree with the death penalty, but I do agree with I'm sorry if they have to feel a little pain. I'm sure their victims did.
So that's my objective.
So it's interesting. I appreciate
No
the nuance
pain.
of the
Like the way he says that. We don't want them to have no pain.
gray there too, and how you're looking at it. My question is,
like
do you see this
torture 'em,
call
but-
by the state of Idaho then to adopt firing squad as the primary method of execution as a victory, or is it more complex than that?
No, I think it's considerably more complex. I don't rejoice in the fact that the state is going to kill these people by firing squad, lethal injection, or anything else. But the law states that the state can, and therefore it behooves me as a physician to. I mean, my primary objective is not to necessarily to save lives, but to minimize suffering. And I believe that death by gunshot wound is compared.
Is he talking about in the hospital?
Therefore, it behooves me as a physician to. I mean, my primary objective is not to necessarily to save lives, but to minimize suffering.
My job isn't to save lives, but minimize suffering. They're already suffering. What do you mean? If by the time that people see you at a level 3 trauma emergency doctor, they are beyond suffering. So save them. What do you mean? What? I don't like this guy.
And I believe that death by gunshot wound is compared to some of the other violent means of death that are available at the hands of the state. Death by gunshot wound is it has less suffering associated with it than a lot of other things do.
Okay. My next question was, what is the perceived benefit or otherwise? And I think you've tackled some of that. Do you want to add any bit to that in terms of benefits? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we look at what's, if we go back to the 1960s, in 1967, a physician here in Oklahoma and his name suddenly escapes me. Of course, that happens anytime you're trying to remember these things. I want to say Ray Chapman, but that's not his name. Anyway, he was a pathologist. He was a state medical examiner, and he developed a lethal injection protocol using 3 drugs. The first drug would cause deep anesthesia. The second drug would cause
deep anesthesia,
paralysis of the respiratory muscles, and the third
deep anesthesia. I'm gonna tell you what deep anesthesia feels like. 1, 2, nothing. That's what deep anesthesia is. And then they're going to give you another drug.
Would stop the heart.
So then what was the second one they give you? What does it do?
Anesthesia. The second drug would cause paralysis of the respiratory muscles. And the third drug would stop the heart. It was very effective. It was very quick. It was absolutely painless, other than the starting the IV, the little pinprick that would get the IV going. And it was very effective, but it's no longer available to most states now, death penalty states, because activists have lobbied and made the drugs unavailable. So a lot of states have come up with new drug protocols that are considerably less effective, take longer, aren't as reliable. And in addition to that, we have a big problem. The big elephant in the room is that establishing intravenous access to give these drugs for lethal injection is not necessarily easy for a lot of these people who've been on death row for 10, 15, 20 years. They've gotten fat, their veins have got small. A lot of them don't have very good veins to start with. You know, in my job in the ER, we deal with people with terrible veins all the time, establishing IV access in these people.
My grandma is a nurse, and she always says I have good veins. But it's interesting to hear you talk about this. Yeah.
Well, this is just the case. You know, I mean, on a typical day in one of my busier ERs, I will see 25 to 35 patients in a 12-hour shift, of which, and so my nurses are seeing more than that. I mean, in my busiest ER, we averaging about 150 patients a day, 3 doctors over 24 hours, and 4 mid-level providers.
What kind of health? I mean, what kind of service can you give somebody if you have 3 people for 150 patients? I don't care if it's a restaurant or if it's a hospital. What kind of service are you going to get for have 3 people running 100 for 150 people?
So, you know, we're establishing IVs in 130, 150 people a day. That gives us lots of practice. And so we're able to get good IVs.
It gives you 0.
In execution situations, we've got people who establish 1 or 2 IVs maybe a month. They're not going to be as good at getting a stick on them as we can do in the ER. And if you can't get a good IV, you can't get.
I'm just going to pause it one more time, and I promise I'll leave it go for a minute. But they have these little devices, and that you wave them over your skin, and it shows the nurse or doctor exactly where the vein is, exactly where it's at. So there should be no problem finding it. It's literally, I've seen it. They've done it on me before, just for like funsies, because they can find mine. I'm veiny as can be, but I have like good veins. But yeah, I wanted to try it out. Like I wanted to see what it looked like. And Vincent was there with me. He saw it too. So why wouldn't they have those in the prisons to scan their arm? That way it's, easier.
Drugs, if you can't get the drugs in, you're going to prolong the dying process because the drugs are not in the vascular system. This has led to some horrifically prolonged deaths in several recent executions, which is unacceptable as far as I'm concerned.
So interesting. I mean, it makes sense now that you're saying it, but yeah, you're doing a really good job of bringing it all together. I feel like I'm getting excited. Yes. Sure. So, when somebody like me in the public probably thinks of a firing squad, we're thinking of like golden age Hollywood movie where somebody's condemned, given the blindfold and a cigarette. Any last words? Is that how it is? Or if not, what's different about it now?
Yeah. Other than the cigarette, yeah, it's pretty much what you described. They don't allow smoking in the death house, as far as I'm aware. but most of the time, now remember, we've only got the one protocol that's been used, actually two now that have been used. Utah's been doing firing squad executions now for 150 plus years. They've been doing it a long time. They've had 43 firing squad executions, all of it been successful. South Carolina just had their first firing squad execution last week, which was again very successful. And my understanding from unofficial sources is that Idaho is going to follow the Utah protocol pretty closely. So it's basically the inmate is restrained in a chair, a target is placed over the heart, and then a number of high-powered rifles, military-grade rifles, are used to fire bullets into the heart, which leads to catastrophic destruction of the heart, immediate drop of blood pressure to almost nothing. Well, actually, to nothing. And then when blood flow ceases, the best medical evidence shows that unconsciousness ensues within 3 to 4 seconds, and death follows swiftly thereafter.
All right, and this another question
3 to
kind of
4 seconds.
debunking.
3 to 4 seconds is a long time. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know. To me, that's like I don't know. Give me the intravenous. I don't know. I would be so.
Themes or ideas of what a firing squad is
right.
You know, it was also that firing squads in the past, they would only have one rifleman that had actual live ammunition. Is that the case today, or is that even true in the past? Is that myth?
Yeah, well, if you go back, you have to go back to the understanding of where firing squads came from to get a clear understanding of it. We know that firing squad has been a military form of execution since at least the Napoleonic era. The French army under Napoleon executed a lot of people, of their own soldiers, for crimes, high crimes, and so forth.
Is that a guillotine that cuts off the head? Why don't we just go back to that? I feel like that's what we're reversing or something, but
By firing squad. These executions were often quite summary, and I mean, a firing squad execution in the Franco-Prussian War, for instance, could be a matter of an officer condemning an officer to death after literally a 2-minute court martial, march him out in the courtyard, and then grab some guys marching by, a squad of soldiers marching by, and say, okay, you're going to execute this guy. So the idea that men could be pressed into killing one of their comrades at a moment's notice was pretty difficult for people to stress. So what they said was, well, we're going to load, here we got 10 guys, you're going to shoot this guy to death. 3 of you, we're going to load your rifles with blanks. And so only the 7 of the rifles would be loaded. And that way, nobody can say, you were one of the people who fired the shot. Any one of you 10 guys can say, my gun was not loaded with a bullet. It was just a blank, made a lot of fire noise, but I didn't kill the man. So that gave the firing squad members a plausible deniability when it comes to the culpability for the death of a fellow soldier. That's where the tradition started. And
I watch a lot of
do people actually tell people what they do for a living? They're like, yeah, I work down at the prison. I'm the one that gives the intravenous to the guys and kills them all. Like, I wouldn't think they would.
Dramas, so I'm envisioning exactly what you're talking about right now.
Right. It makes some sense if you look at it from that viewpoint. And and actually, truly, I mean, they've retained that concept of the blank in one of or more of the rifles right up to the present day in the Utah protocol, for that very reason, that people can say, well, yes, I was on the firing squad, but I just fired a blank. Which I guess to some degree gets people off the hook. Now, it doesn't fool the guys shooting the rifles. Any rifleman knows when you fire a rifle with a bullet in it, the recoil of the bullet leaving the chamber pushes the rifle back against you pretty hard. If you're firing a rifle with a blank in it, it's just like setting off a firecracker. There's no momentum pushing you backward. So you know if you fired a blank or not. But I think it's more for the point of being able to say to other people, the public, that I did not fire one of the bullets to kill. a lot of people say, well, that's nonsense. You don't need that. But I have not spoken directly to firing squad members, but to family members of men who've been on firing squads. One man in particular who is long since deceased, but his son spoke to me. He was on the firing squad that executed Private Eddie Slovik at the end of World War II. This was the last American soldier executed by firing squad for desertion. And this member of the firing squad was haunted for the rest of his days by being part of that execution. Having participated in that execution produced severe post-traumatic stress disorder for him. PTSD is a very real thing in people who work on executions. And we know in American death houses that very often the prison staff who work in the death house on executions, even if they're not actually in the execution chamber, can experience significant PTSD that haunts them and requires very real intervention from a psychiatric viewpoint. So it's not a trivial thing.
I mean, yeah, no kidding. I think even just the weight of being a reporter covering tragedies falls hard upon me. But, having more intimate knowledge and a hand in what's to happen, I mean, I can only imagine. It feels like a distance for me, like Hollywood movie level, right? Outside looking in. But for that reason, is it difficult to find a rifleman who is both willing and qualified to do this kind of work?
No. There's my last trial, which was just a few weeks ago in the state of Louisiana. We did. I do this routinely whenever I testify in a case. I will check
how much you get paid for that?
The rolls in Louisiana. There are over 66,000 sworn law enforcement officers, most of whom are qualified with rifles. Law enforcement officers, for the most part, tend to be very pro-death penalty. In every execution that I'm aware of where law enforcement officers have been recruited, the waiting list is pages and pages long. The volunteers are not hard to come by.
You must get paid pretty good, right? Like you only have to do it every once in a while. I mean, unless it's the same people going all over the country, why wouldn't they do it like that? Like you just have like a team of people you pay really well and they go all over the country. Because it's not like, two people are getting executed at the same time in this country. Doesn't seem like that's ever really happened ever that I've seen. But, I'm not saying it's never happened, but I've never heard of it. So like, couldn't they just like have a team of like, just like, special ops team, just like that go around and do, I mean, I don't know how much you'd pay, but man, that would be, I don't know if I wouldn't want that job.
We do know as well from the state of Utah, the training required. Utah is the state that I'm most familiar with, by the way. That's why I keep citing them. Their training process, the selection and training process is extremely rigorous. So they select the fire squad members months in advance, and then the actual team and the alternates start training several weeks before the execution. They practice every aspect of the execution, including firing their rifles. And the degree of marksmanship required to place a bullet precisely at the distances of a firing squad are much, much easier than the marksmanship level required just to qualify to use a rifle on patrol. So any patrolman who has a rifle in his squad car in the state of Idaho is going to be capable of meeting the marksmanship standard of the firing squad easily. It's not a difficult shot because they're trained to do it.
Huh. Well, I know there's talk about automation of the process. What do you think about that?
Right.
In terms of accuracy and.
Yeah, in Idaho, that's something that came up from a legislator in their assembly, who sort of floated that trial balloon. I don't think it's gained any traction, but I may be wrong. The concept is not new. In fact, the state of Nevada executed a prisoner in the late 1910s, 1920s, somewhere in there, using an automatic. They used an automated system. They had somebody welded together a frame that held 3 rifles, and then the rifles had strings attached to the triggers. The triggers were attached to weights, and then there were three different executioners who cut a string. So none of those three knew which one actually cut the real string that released the weights that fired the triggers. So that gave them some plausible deniability again.
What's interesting that's a theme that comes back here every time.
Yeah, it is, and I'm not sure why that has become so such a common theme, because if you look at things like death by electrocution, the electric chair, there's only one switch and there's only one guy that throws the switch. There's no question who threw the switch. The gas chamber, there's a similar thing. There's one button, one guy pushes it. So, but I think in all the newer methods, they're trying to take it away from one executioner. There's not just one hangman, not one axeman anymore. It's a team of people. They try to spread out the
we're making this a team effort.
Blame and more power to them for doing that. I'll be honest with you. You've got to look at the fact that you mentioned as a reporter, if you go to witness an execution, it's going to be pretty damn horrific for you. And for most of the people who are on the execution squad, if they don't have the exposure to death that a person like I have, as an ER doc, I see dozens of people die every year, maybe scores. I don't know. I honestly can't tell you how many people I've seen die in the room in front of me that I'm responsible for treating. It's they're not dying because I'm killing them, but it's death. And in my profession, we see a lot of it, so we become callous. It doesn't, but for the average layman who doesn't see, most adults, I won't guess your age, probably early 20s, but you've probably never seen a dead body outside of a casket, if that. And most Americans actually have not even seen a dead body in a casket. So, it's going to be very traumatic for most people to actually have to deal with the reality of execution.
100%. Well, at least for me, I go to a lot of crime scenes, and I've often seen a body uncovered and things like that.
There you go.
And it's a traumatizing thing, but I'm not seeing it in the process too, and I think that is the terrifying thing about it, watching like the light go out of somebody's eyes versus here's a body. It's already really disturbing and upsetting, but different than watching someone die versus right.
But all those people, they know what they're getting themselves into when they walk in there. It's not like it's they know they're going to go watch somebody die. And usually that's the choice they make, because they either are the victim's family members and they want to see it to its finality, or it's the execution needs that the guy that's getting executed is his family or her family.
Right. There's something that we know about this from law enforcement training, military training. I myself have participated and experienced this firsthand. The concept of seeing a human face when you have to shoot them, which is police training, we're doing firearms training, is a huge barrier to overcome. For instance, in my training, I did, so I already had my firearms expertise when I started doing force-on-force training as a police officer. I was on the SWAT team of my county police force for 5 years and on the medical officer for 12. But when I started actually going into doing the training, going from shooting targets to shooting something that's humanoid is a big step. And it's very different. I mean, even going back further, the first time I shot a deer that I could see its face when I was a young man, I mean, it affected me. And still today, even though I've killed and harvested hundreds of deer and other animals for food, to see one every now and then, I will kill an animal and it just moves me profoundly. That my continuing existence by eating this animal's meat could not have happened except the animal died. And that can be emotionally disturbing. Now that's human versus animal. When you're dealing with a human being and a face, that's very different. And the first time I had to shoot a computer simulation of a person with a face, it rattled the heck out of me. And I was not able to perform up to my usual marksmanship standards. And it takes some time to get over that. So if you're talking about a person in an execution chamber, all the more so. I think that's the primary reason that the execution hood is used. So you cannot see the face of the prisoner before, during, or after the execution. I think that would be much, much more traumatic for most people than they would be prepared to accept.
The last question I've got for you is, moving forward.
So they would put a mask over them. Oh, this is just, I don't like the way this sounds.
Do we feel like that this is something that you now consider to be your cause, like educating people? I know you're not pro death penalty per se, but would you like to see this method adopted across the country if there is going to be an execution, or does it need to get better before? Do there need to be improvements before you feel that way?
Well, I don't think you do much to improve the process of executing by firing squad that is already in existence in the state of Utah, the United States military protocol. South Carolina, their method is still somewhat opaque. We don't have the documents to look at, but it looks like they've got it down pretty well. Yeah, so I mean, it works. It's fine. Is it the best possible means of execution? I think not. I think there's at least one other option. There's a physician that I testified with in Louisiana last week from Oregon. He's involved with MAID, medical assistance in death for terminally ill people. MAID, it's called. MAID is a very effective means of ending people's lives. It's medically assisted suicide with oral medications.
What? We're doing that? Or am I medically induced suicides? We're doing that to people? We're killing people that are lower IQ than us? Is that what he's saying? That's what this MAID is? For people that are lower IQ than us? I can understand giving them pain meds and like if it's end of care. Okay, I'm gonna go back and listen to that again. I'm like, what am I hearing in this?
Medical assistance in death.
Okay, hold on.
At least one other option. There's a physician that I testified with in Louisiana last week from Oregon. He's involved with MAID, medical assistance in death for terminally ill people. MAID.
Medical. Man, I hope they never come to take my Google search. See, it already gave me the freaking hotline number.
It's called. MAID is a very effective means of ending people's lives. It's medically assisted suicide with oral medications. There are times, even though as a Catholic I have a hard time accepting suicide. I certainly wouldn't want to go down that road myself. On the other hand, if you are in an intractable suffering, you need some relief from this horrendous end. Well, maybe that's justifiable. That's a different discussion. But again, Charles was testifying last week in Louisiana that this was an option that the state could take. And the prisoner is given a cocktail to drink. He voluntarily drinks it and, goes to sleep in a few minutes. And within 12 to 18 hours, he dies. There's no suffering involved in that other than the psychological suffering of, knowing that you're committing suicide or being forced to commit suicide by the state.
Yeah.
That's an option.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another option.
That sounds way worse than anything I've ever heard in my life. That does not sound humane. I would rather be shot. Like the thought. I mean, I know you're going to think about, before you go get shot. I know you're going to be thinking about it either way, you're going to be overwhelmed, but that sounds overwhelming to me. That's giving me anxiety. Listening to this guy is giving me anxiety. I will never break the law again, ever. Not even like a speeding, nothing. Seatbelt, nope. Always wearing it, which I always do anyway, but you know what I mean. Jaywalking, I'm going to be walking on those white lines in between, waiting for that little guy to be walking.
As well. But some of the other methods that are still being used, the electric chair is still used in multiple states, which is pretty horrific. I see a lot of victims of electrocution in my trauma practice all the time. And it's there's no question people suffer terribly with electrocution. And there's no question
Wow,
that
there's a
our
lot.
lethal injection protocols right now are highly problematic. This new bizarre thing they've come up with is nitrogen asphyxiation, which is illegal to use on dogs and cats, but somehow it's now possible to use it on
Oh,
human
wow.
beings. Just makes me scratch my head. How did the courts
Oh,
let that?
okay, so I see now why he wanted. Okay, Ashley, I see why the guy in South Carolina wanted the firing squad, because they're the, like it says electrocution is the default method in South Carolina. So he was probably like, I don't want to be electrocuted. I'd rather be shot. I wouldn't want to be electrocuted either.
That one slip by.
I
So
wouldn't want to be shot neither, but
there's a lot of questions yet to be resolved. Now, I will continue to advocate for firing squad as an option to states that are willing to talk about it, and I think more states are going to adopt it. Idaho, for instance, did adopt it prior to the client that I was working on behalf. We were preparing to sue the state of Idaho, and rather than wait for the trial, the legislature just said, you know what, we're going to allow firing squad. So just the threat of lawsuit caused Idaho to change its mind, and hopefully it's
is that the guy that they just executed after like 40 years? He was on death row forever and a day. I mean, if I was on death row for 40 years, I'd probably be saying, when are we doing this? Like, I wouldn't expect to be on there for that long.
going to work out just fine there for the 2 man. I think there's only one man now on death row in Idaho. Although
Well, Bryan will
apparently
have
this
someone to look forward to hanging out with,
new fellow, this Kohberger fella, people are assuming he's going to be
allegedly.
found guilty and sentenced to death as well, but we don't know yet. We'll have to see. Other death penalty states may go down the same road. I will continue to testify on this as long as I'm still, practicing. I think I'm a few years away from finally retiring from medicine. I think at that point I'll probably retire from this courtroom work as well. It takes a lot of time, a lot of energy. It's emotionally trying.
But if
But
you're lobbying for something like the death penalty and you want to, educate people on the use of, using these drugs, you should probably not retire in a few years from this part of your career.
For now, I'm going to keep doing it. Hopefully we can ease some suffering.
Well, wearing many hats, and thank you so much for really making sense of something that seems like hard to understand at first. And you really made it a very approachable subject matter. So I think our viewers are going to really benefit from that. So I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you. I was about to pause it anyway. Well, thank you. That we did benefit from that. Kohberger fella, I know. Kohberger fella. Do you know Kohberger? And I do put an L in there. Kohberger. Whoever said that in my comment section, you got in my brain. You're living in my head rent free. I need to go back to the comment section to see who that was. They've been living up here rent free ever since, because I said someone else's last name last night with an L in it. Oh, we were talking about Madalena Kojikari, her stepfather. I call him Christopher Pottmittler, and it's Paul Meter. I'll put an L in there too. I guess I just put L's where they don't belong. But I did get another subscriber off of it, actually, because I said, I know how to spell, or something like that. I was like, yeah, I'm aware. I know how to spell. And I was like, are you making fun of my accent? See? Triple L's like, I thought there was an L. See, because I say Kohberger. I do say it like that. I'm not going to be able to stop. We're going into 3 years, Kohberger. We're all going to have I'm going to learn how to speak. That's what we're going to do. We're going to have a little speaking session for me. Maybe I think it's because I say my words too fast or something. I don't know. But I did put an L in there. And I mean, I didn't really put an L in there. I just, with my mouth, I did. It's just funny that someone said that. And I'm over here laughing about it still, talking about it. But they do have some states still authorizing electrocution. Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Oklahoma, South Carolina, and Tennessee. So make sure if you commit any really serious crimes, don't come in there. They'll get you. Is Texas on there? No. I guess They used it from 1924 to 1964, killing 361 inmates. Man. Old Sparky, that's where the nickname came for that. Oh, wow. Wonder where Old Sparky is now, like in someone's house or like a museum somewhere. It says Tennessee recent electrocutions. Since 2018, 5 condemned Tennessee prisoners with the right to choose pick the electric chair. Why would you pick that? I don't know. I mean, I guess they're letting them pick. That's weird. Like I couldn't imagine. Good thing I'm a good girl. Why is Texas the #1 in executions? It says Texas, unlike many other states, has worked out the statutory and procedural kinks in death penalty cases and appeals. It says in 1995, law exhibiting state appeals has successfully cut down the time between conviction and execution. They don't mess around there in Texas or Florida or any of those death penalty states because they're smart. Yeah, Texas don't play, or Florida. I think that Florida is the second, or I think it's the second. Or no, there's a different one that's the second. Hold on, it used to be Florida, but now it's not. I forget which state it is. Maybe it's Oklahoma. I think it's Oklahoma. Yeah, and then Florida or something like that. Because we looked it up one time and I was like, oh, it's not the second one. Let me go over to see if there's anything on X about anything. Where's the oh yeah, Lori Vallow Daybell trial and started today. Did anybody watch that? If you guys did, let me know. Let me know what happened. Let me know what she said. Did she get a talk yet? Did they let her speak? Did they let her speak or say anything? Hey, Wizard Walt. Yeah, that sounds about right, Walt. Hey, Wandering Orphan. They have a bunch of stuff on here about this little boy. She spoke a lot. Oh, I'm going to have to watch it. You guys watched it? See, I didn't know. She was convicted. So she's on trial this is for husband Charles, right? Yeah, this is Charles. This is the last one. And she's representing herself. I think she could probably talk her way around a courtroom a little bit because, I mean, she's got 5 years to be practicing. But, man, I'm out to watch. She's getting sustained a lot. I mean, it would. I think at this point, like if I was her, I'd probably represent myself too. Why not? Why the hell not? I mean, you're already know that you're going to be in jail for the rest of your life. You know what you did, Lori. You know what you did. We know what you did. You're a horrible human being. You're vile. We hate you. We want you to go to jail. We want you to be jailed with Letitia Stout. That would be great. You guys can share a jail cell together. But she, her first trial, we didn't stream it because it was just like the court audio. And that was like, man, I don't know. I was like, that's going to be so boring for us to just listen to audio. And I no one really wanted to listen to it. Oh, when they did Timothy McVeigh. Yeah, but her saying that Charles raised the bat and was going to hit Tyler. No. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then she blames Tylee for, oh, I'm glad I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to. I feel so bad for the family. I mean, I would be like, I'd be punching stuff. I was following that case when it first happened, way back when. And like, I don't know. I didn't get on YouTube for any content about that. I don't know why. I didn't know about YouTube. I didn't know about this community then. I didn't know about y'all till like 2022. But I was watching the local news and stuff about it and just trying to get as much as I could get, like, information that way. Tylee and JJ, they should have, I mean, those kids, she would be like, what, 16, 17, like 21, 20 right now? Tylee would be, she was like 16, wasn't she? Tylee, so she, yeah, like something 15, 16. I mean, she is a monster. And she did it all for I guess love. I mean, like that's like what? Her and her ukulele can go and play in some prison somewhere. That's where she could play it. She didn't like Tylee. I think that Tylee was a threat to her. And I think that Tylee stood up for herself. And Tylee wasn't one of the types that were going to be, she wasn't going to let a guy tell her, what to believe in and those kind of things, or someone to tell her what to believe in. Tylee was a very strong, like little girl. She was very strong and independent, I feel like. And I feel like her mom wasn't. And she wanted those kids probably to go along with her little freaking Delulu brain, or she just didn't want them anymore and she wanted them off, way out of there. But either A, they weren't going to go with the delusions she was carrying, or she just decided she didn't want them anymore. Oh, no, I didn't see that. That would be fun, Ashley. Let me know if you do. But that's all I think I have for you guys for tonight. Oh, a Kohberger reading. Oh my gosh. Do you T Rev still on his like main page? I was over there snooping one day. I think it was like the other day when he went on his rant. And I was like looking on his page and he still has the phone call pinned at the top. That's supposedly Bryan Kohberger. That's not. But I'm like, you dirty dog, you. Let's see what else is. Let's see if there's anything else. I don't think there's anything else on. I went to Twitter. That's why I was going to see if there's any thing about Bryan on here. I don't see anything. Just the usual. People are going after the usual suspects all over again. It's kind of sad. It's really sad. And I'm just, let's see. Like people saying stuff about Bryan Kohberger, like, come on, can you get with the times? Like we're year 3 into this. That was year 1. Okay. So catch up with us. Catch up quick. Okay. That's all I think I do have. I was trying to read. I just wanted to see. They aren't streaming the court proceedings on their YouTube anymore. They're going to be streaming them on their the Idaho site. So we'll make sure that we go over there, and I'll make the live here shortly. What's this? Let me just make sure that these are the ones that from earlier. Yeah, they are. Okay. So the only documents that came out tonight were just stipulated motions to seal. And it was the defendant's notice to seal the defense's expert disclosure exhibit. So the defense is 7 through B. So I'm assuming 7D through B. So 7A, 7B, I'm assuming. But yeah, they want those sealed. So the judge said, okay, looks like they're going to seal those. Too bad for us. But we'll know other things, Yep, April 9th. Yep. Coming up, couple days. Yeah, couple days. Intro videos. I don't know how to do intros. Like, oh, I do mine all Canva. Welcome in, everybody. Don't forget, if you guys didn't get to catch our live earlier tonight, I did a live at 7:15 to get us caught up a little bit with Rachel Morin's case. They are going to, they're on trial right now. So that Victor Martinez Hernandez, the guy that came over from El Salvador and snuck into this country 3 different times, murdering Rachel Morin, mother of 5, on the Mom Paw Trail. They're doing her trial is going on right now. Well, his trial for her murder. And if you want to know anything about that, I try to get you guys caught up with the first few days over on the 7:15 live. And then, yeah. So I only use Canva. That's the only app that I use for that. I have other apps though, like CapCut and stuff, but I never go on there to figure out how to use them. Like, I'm terrible with that. I'm not a tedious working kind of person. Like, if it's tedious work, like that to me is like I need Vincent to sit with me just like right here and just make me do stuff. Because like if I'm sitting here, like, and it's like quiet and I'm not talking to anybody, you know what I mean? I'm just like working. I could do it for a little while. I could do it more on my walking pad, but then my brain will start to like wander. I was in here since 5:30. Like, that's why we did a live earlier today. Or an earlier live at 7:15, because I was like, it's only 5:30. What am I going to do until 9? Like, I had everything ready to go for this live. So I was like, I'm going to go live on the, something else. So, but yeah. And creating YouTube videos is really simple. All you need is your phone. That's all you need. And then just upload them. Like, I know a lot of big creators out there that all they use is their cell phone. They don't use like any of the fancy stuff. You know what I mean? Like, they don't need it, I don't really need it, but I just like it. I just like the fancy stuff. Maybe the mic I would need, but you could always get like something like these, which I need to learn how to use these so I could use them on my TikToks. But you could get something like, just like something like that's this small. That way, because you have you don't have a whole lot of room. Like, you have a lot of room, but not a whole lot of room. And you could use these, and they're like little wireless microphones. And they're like magnetic. And then this thing goes into your phone. Like, this little part plugs into your phone. And then like has my adapter on it. But yeah, and then you can use this like for videos. How do I get this back in there? I don't want to like mess it up. Why isn't it going back in there? Very good. Probably because I have it in wrong. No, I don't. That's the right way. I don't know. There we go. I couldn't get that figured out. Man. Whew. So like you freeze. Well, and you could always like write up some notes like on cardstock. That's what I used to use. I used to use that thicker paper, like that resume paper. And before I had like computers and monitors, and I still have some right here. Like, I would use these little clips, and I would clip notes to my lights for my videos. But I haven't done a pre-recorded video in a while. I need to. Hey, Aries, I'm sorry about your grandpa. Wow, that's an expensive mic, girl. This one was nothing near that. With my notebook of notes. You could put, Ashley, you seem like the type that could make something cute. Like flashcards. I would love that. I'm about to go get like I'm about to do that. Like a talk show host and have your name on the back of them. How cute would that be? And you just have your little flashcards in the beginning of your live. You could have your little name. You better take that idea before I remember it tomorrow, because if I don't write it down, I won't remember it. So, but yeah, and you'd have something in your hands, because I know you have ADHD too. So like it would keep, yeah, you'd have something in your hands. You should do something like that. I've never seen anybody do that on YouTube. Has anyone else? I think that's a cute idea. Have little flashcards, If you take that idea and I steal it back from you, we'll say it was your idea first. It's a free for all. No, that's how mine is at the end, though. Yeah. I think that'd be a cute idea. I might have to print me something out from old where do I go from for my stuff? Where do I print out my crap from? I forget what it's called. I want to say Zillow, but that's not right. It starts with the Zazzle. Zazzle. I need to get some business cards. Yeah, I think Ashley would do great on YouTube. It'll give you something to do too. And you can start with like decorating your camper. Like that would get you some views. John Granite case in Illinois who killed his parents. I'll write that name down. I wonder where my paper went that was here earlier. Whoa, whoops. Just I hit the computer. I'm a Swiftie too at heart. I love Taylor Swift. I really do. I like her music. That's the case that got you into true crime. That name sounds familiar. Was he kind of on the skinny side? Dark, like brown hair? I'm gonna look him up before I say something and you're like, no, that's not the same person. But that name just sounds familiar. Hey, Norma. Let's look. Nope, not the same one. But he does have dark hair. He killed his parents? Gosh, that's crazy. He'd been asleep all night and he heard nothing. And he woke up to that. Oh. Yeah, look it up. Oh, wow. It's a good one. That's what I was about to say. I thought I saw where it said like 3 more people were charged. Yeah, we might have to do like a thing where we do like just different cases one night, like do like a few different ones. You know what I mean? And then you guys can like give me ideas. Like if you have like something like this, like, wow. And I know that Southern Ish had a case too last night. And I forgot to write the little girl's name. I think it's the same girl that went missing around Gary, Indiana, when Emma Baum went missing around Gary, Indiana. It's like J-A apostrophe N, and I can't see the rest of her name after that. Like, I can't remember the little girl's name. Wow, wandering orphan. Over being grounded? Man. Hey, seen Jack 11? I mean, I was never grounded, but if I was, I would never, I don't know, my parents. I never thought about like harming my parents or like if my parents weren't here, you damn people, if you just weren't here, like I never had that like conversation. And you know, I don't know. I was really close with my parents. Oh man. Over 30 grams of salad pot. Oh my gosh. Wow. Isn't that amazing? How people, I mean, just grounded, just over being grounded. I ran away once. Well, I didn't really technically run away. It wasn't me running away. It was a girlfriend of mine running away with her boyfriend. And I didn't want her to go alone. I thought she was just like going to be like kidding. Like I really thought she was just we were going to get like, you know, maybe a half hour away. Maybe I don't even think I thought we were going to get that far away. I thought maybe we would get like to the next town over and she would change her mind, but she didn't. So once we hit Cincinnati, which was at the time where I lived 2 hours away from me, I got out of the car and went to the hospital and called my mom. I was like, come get me. I wasn't going to run away, I swear. And her and my dad came and got me. It was, and my friend, not my girlfriend. She ended up still cruising with the guy, but another one of our friends that went, he came in the hospital. He's like, I'm not going to get in trouble. I'm going home too. So we ended up going home, and then they got caught in Vegas. They made it all the way to Vegas before they got caught. Wow, that was crazy. Sex in the City, I miss that show. I miss like the old episodes though. I might have to rent them. Where can you rent them? I guess you could stream them, huh? Because it's like streaming is now. I don't rent stuff, just stream stuff. How old do I sound? Where can I rent those? I just remember always renting them from Redbox whenever I was younger. And I just remember like in my 20s, my early 20s, and I was like, or maybe I was even like a late teen, and I would watch all of them and just stay at home. I was such a homebody at the time. I ran away because my mom wanted to move to the suburbs and we lived in the city. Oh, yeah. I'd rather live in the suburbs. Yeah. Or the country. I want to live in the country, but Vincent isn't about that life. He's not about that farm lifestyle. I'm not a farmer, but I just want to live like 5 minutes outside of town where, you're far enough where you can go outside and you can make some noise if you want to, but you're like close enough to town where you can just get in your car and be right there. That's how my parents' house was. It was lovely. It was lovely. Michelle Lawless, I can do that. Let me write that down. I miss Blockbuster. Me too. I miss Blockbuster too. I'll write that down. This is my list to keep beside my desk. My brother has horses. He built a barn. He bought the property and then built a barn on it, like one of those old red barns. It looks like an old red barn, and it has a loft in it. It's super nice. They have, they used to. I don't know if they still do, but they had chickens and everything. But they had a mini horse and then 2 regular, like, I don't know if they're Tennessee Walkers. They look a little bit bigger than Tennessee Walkers, but they're big. They're huge. I'm not a farm animal kind of gal. My brother is totally into that life. He is all about that life. And they built their house. They're going to move in this summer 2025. I can't wait for them to move out of that stupid raggedy town and get into the country where the air's fresh, the kids can run, I want that so badly for my nephews and my nieces, and they're getting older. So they need to get out there before, like, they're not even building a house, but 1 bedroom, because there's just gonna be them 2, So, oh, you sold them. I bet they're beautiful. I love looking at horses. One bucked me off when I was 9. The first time I got on, I got bucked off, and I was like, That's when I realized that things that are bigger than me, like horses or like animals, like, cows and things of that nature, they're meant to be like in the pasture, and I'm meant to be over here. That's how I think of it. My brother's horses actually ran out of the gate one day. It just pushed the gate and I couldn't stop it. And I was like doing this. My friend was laughing so hard. He had to go get the horse because he knew how to like do everything. And I was like, what are we going to do? I was like, the horse is running down the highway. Like, because it was like kind of like on a state route. And we got the horse back before my brother found out and like killed us all. Because, like, they're very expensive. Before last by a man we have known for years. Really? Like, killed like before last by a man we have known for years. Oh my gosh. What? Wow. Off Main Street. Oh, you're on the main road. Oh yeah, you're probably ready to be out in the woods a little bit too. But yeah. Crystal, what happened? What the hell? Oh, animal science major. I bet that was fun. That sounds like something that sounds like actually something I would enjoy doing. Oh, yeah. Identical twins. Oh man. Ooh. Yeah, they have the same DNA. They got the same everything. Well, identical and not paternal, but yeah. That's why I'm always going to say if I ever do something wrong, my identical twin out there did it. Let me see. I'll write their names down and see if anything comes up. I'll have to look that up. Wow. Let's see. Oh, I hear. Found with gunshot wounds. Wow. They said they got the guy. Clay County man is accused of shooting and killing a couple in the community. Oh my gosh. They were found with gunshot wounds inside of a home Thursday evening. Wow. The complaint said the person who found their bodies, they said, believed Michael Atkins, 58, of Duck to be involved. So is that like their, oh, never mind. I thought maybe it was like their kid or something, but no. It says, they said that the Bishops and the Atkins did not get along and that Atkins was obsessed with Dennis. And he said he was going to kill Mr. Bishop one day. Oh my Lord. Wow. That's crazy. What? I mean, people were crazy. Now, I mean, they were crazy back then, but I just feel like it's worse nowadays. What was Norma? Let me go back up. About the baby Gabriel Johnson. That sounds familiar. Yeah. Wait. Hold on. Okay, never mind. That's another one I'm thinking of. I think we were talking about that not too long ago, though. I think someone was talking about Gabriel Johnson's story. Wow, you guys know a lot of stuff. Hey, remember Mindy that used to be in our chat? She knew Night Stalker. Like he like tried to unalive her friend. Like jumped on her balcony like he would do. And then but she screamed or something and it scared him. So he jumped off. I mean, whew. That's so sad. Wow, 16 years in prison wrongfully. Oh, man. I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if it's worse. I was thinking that too. Like, because Vincent actually brought it up the other day. He was like, why is everything on the news so bad? He's like, can we go back to I was like, what do you want to go back to? He's like, maybe like the presidential race. I'm like, because it was just like always about them. Like now it's all, war, the weather, the weather, people are just losing everything from what's going on. And it just seems like it's just bad, but I don't think it's any worse than it probably was before. It just, we're seeing it more, our eyes are more open to it. We have it at our fingertips, every day. So yeah, of course. That's insanity. People just killing off their whole families. And welcome in, everybody. We're just getting ready to get off of here. We were just finishing up the live. But thank you guys all for being here tonight. I appreciate you. I do. I appreciate you so much. I'll be back on tomorrow evening at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If I do come on and do a live during the day, I'm not sure what time it'll be, but I'll try to do a community tab or community post on the community tab. So that way you guys will know. And I'll do it a little in advance for you. So thank you, Thor. Well, I appreciate you guys being here. And I'll see you guys all tomorrow evening. Have a wonderful evening. Bye, guys.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain. Tonight, we gonna let it rain. Tonight, we gonna let it rain. Just like the sunrise, we gonna let it rain. Just like a spark that's breaking out, can't make a stop.